Hi, I'm Jim Setzer with Images by Design, and today we're going to take a look at the XPLOR 600 studio strobes. This one says Flashpoint on the box. That's because I got it from Adorama. If you buy it from B&H, it'll be called Bolt. They're manufactured by Godox, and I think there's another name you can get them under called Cheetahstand. I got the TTL version because that fits my studio shooting style a little bit. Some people love TTL, some people don't. The difference in price is a couple $100 per unit. So let's unbox this thing and see what's in here. The unit comes in this shiny black cardboard box. I prefer my outer packaging a little simply, but it's going to be easy to spot if you happen to be walking around one of those big camera superstores in New York City. Comes with this nice nylon carrying case, looks like a small suitcase, a big fat wide tooth zipper. Time will only tell if this case will hold up after a couple of years of hauling this thing around, but it seems alright. First thing we see is a manual, glossy black paper, match the outer packaging. Should give you everything you need to know to set that thing up and use it. Your standard bowl and diffuser, light modifier, just about every studio strobe comes with that. They're cheap, not very useful. In this compartment there's the power brick and AC adapter cord. It's got a little charging indicator here that shows you exactly how much charge is in the battery. Might help you figure out how long you need to keep that thing on charge before you can take it on the road. Very helpful, I think. Speaking of battery, here's the battery pack. Looks like it just clips on the back. Here's a strap for the carrying case. In this box I'm hoping to find a lamp. Yep, and there it is. It's got a nice glass outer protective piece that should be useful when changing out modifiers. You don't have to worry about bumping into the actual tube. It's not going to protect against a fall, of course, but it should be useful for just day in, day out use. And here's the strobe itself. Heavy black plastic construction, seems okay. It's got this protective cup on the Bowens S mount. I got the S mount because it fits my current modifiers. They have other mounts as well for this thing. Here's the LED modeling light, so that shines right through the bulbs. It's what you see is what you get kind of modeling lamp. Display and controls over here. SICK cable port, USB, that sort of stuff. So let's take this thing and put it up on a stand, plug all the pieces in, fire it up, and see what it looks like. One thing I noticed right away that's a little bit of a concern had to do with the design of the Bowens S-mount front bezel, and that had to do with these little tabs in here. They act as springs and hold the light modifier up against the back of the ring, keeping it steady. Right out of the box, this protective cup was just rattling around in there, and so if that's just rattling around, anything larger than that, like a big octabox, may have problems. So I just took a screwdriver and very carefully bent those tabs up a little bit so that when I put a modifier on, it's in there nice and snug. We'll have to see how that behaves after I put on some of the larger modifiers, whether those tabs stay in place. Alright, let's take this thing into the studio and see how easy it is to set up. Standard 5/8 baby pin mount. Make sure you put this on a high quality heavyweight stand, a big Century stand like this one. Don't use those Cowboy Studios light aluminum stands that you got with your first lighting kit. Spend the extra money, get something nice and heavy and sturdy. This thing weighs a lot, and it's just going to wobble around on those stands, and it's going to fall over. The least that'll happen is that you're going to lose a $100 bulb when that crashes to the floor, but more importantly, it's going to injure somebody, and you could get burned by the bulb. The bulb gets very hot, and this thing's very heavy. Next, I'll plug in the battery. I believe it just kind of clips on the back here. There you go. No worries. Let me take off the little travel cup and mount the lamp. Now, you never want to touch the lamp with your fingers. These lamps get very, very hot, and the oil on your fingers can get boiling hot and actually destroy a bulb. So you want to use a white glove, or in this case I'm using a lens cloth, and use that to mount the bulb. It only goes in one way. There's three banana plugs in this particular bulb. And plug it in there in the front. It just kind of snaps on. And then make sure you wipe off any accidental oil from your skin that might have gotten on that lamp. I'll go ahead and mount the bowl that came with this thing. Maybe the last time I ever use it. There you go. Completed assembly. Let's see if this thing turns on. Maybe the battery comes with a little bit of life in it. Oh, it came fully charged. Look at that. So 256th power and test flash. Great. I don't want to go through every feature of this strobe because that's the fun of reading your manual. But let's just take a quick look at the display and the controls to see how this thing shoots. You already saw the on-off button. Here's a test flash button. It's got this nice jog dial that works just like the back of a Canon body jog dial. I'll crank this all the way up to a full power, much brighter. Over here you have a modeling light. Cycling this button goes from low, medium, high, and off modeling lamp. Your flash duration button here, it changes from high-speed sync to manual sync, and then you can use that to change the flash duration. This menu button allows you to change things like whether you're shooting Nikon or Canon, whether the ready beep comes on or not. Some people like that, I do, others find it annoying. The backlight, the sleep mode, those kinds of things are all set in this menu button. Mode changes from manual to multi to TTL. And your receiver type changes from radio to optical to PC sync. And if you're in one of these receive modes, you'll certainly be able to change the group and channel with this group channel button. Cycling through this button changes the group. Pressing and holding the button switches to channel mode, and then you can use the jog dial to change the channel. Great. Next, let's take a look at the transmitter. We'll put that on a camera and fire this thing off. Here's the R2 TTL transmitter for the top of your hot shoe. Let's take a look at this box here. Let's see. We've got a shiny little manual here. Looks like it's the same manual for both the transmitter and the receivers. I got a couple of the receivers as well, so I could fire off some of my TTL speed lights. On the bottom of the box there looks like some PC sync cables as well as some remote trigger cables. I don't think I'll ever use the remote trigger cables. An adapter that just fell to the floor. And here's the actual module itself. Look at that, nice and compact. I love the way it lays flat on top of the camera. Nice display there, but it's not sticking up so far that it's really in the way. Takes a couple of AA batteries, which I happen to have in my pocket. Let's fire this up. See how it goes. Alright, it's telling me here's channels A, B, C, D, and E. And what mode they're in, and let's see, I've got channel A set in manual mode, 128 flash. Channel B is in TTL mode, and there's this nice little test button. Seems to work. Let's put it on the hot shoe. See how it goes. My lovely model Denise tonight. And wow, look at that, right off the bat. I just set this camera up as just a f4, 1/50th of a second flash, and boom, bang. First shot, really nicely exposed, great fall off right to left, just what I was hoping to find. Not a lot of messing around with the shape of the light, more importantly, the levels of the light. That takes forever with a manual studio strobe. I think I'm really going to like this. Alright, I'm going to take some more pictures of Denise to show you guys, and then we're going to come back and wrap up the whole review of this entire kit. A couple of things I mentioned before, the mount, the S mount is a little bit sloppy there. It got sloppy again. My little fix didn't quite work. Whether that's really going to be an issue with a big heavy modifier like a big Octabox, time will tell. The other thing that was a little bit hard to get used to had to do with the way this transmitter, the jog dial and the display work together, and it's a little non-intuitive. You get used to it, but it's something you got to play around with. If you had a lot of these lights, this particular layout wouldn't be conducive to making a lot of changes to a lot of lights all the time. You just got to get used to it. Another thing that was a little bit of a puzzle that I had to figure out, right out the bat in manual mode or in multi-mode, this strobe will go down to 1/256th power, making it a great fill light, even with the strobe close up to the model to give it a nice soft light. But the transmitter only goes down to 1/128th power out of the box, and you have to go in. I found it here in the manual back in the bottom. Custom function 05, change that bit from a 0 to a 1. Now you can dial this down below 1/128th power. You'll get a 1/128th minus symbol that match up with the 1/256th display that you'll see on the strobe. Something you got to work through, play around with a little bit. It took me a bit, like I said. I finally found it, and that was great. The last little nitnoid wasn't in the book, wasn't even on the Godox, that's the manufacturer's website. I actually had to find a fix for this on a third-party Flash forum, and that had to do with the modeling light. Let's see the modeling light there, and this test trigger. So if I test this either from the strobe or from the transmitter, and I do a test fire, the modeling light turns out, and it doesn't come back. I can do test fires again, and the modeling light just goes away, and you got to walk back over, turn the modeling lamp back on here, and if you do another test fire, the modeling light turns off again, and that's just not right. So I found in that third-party forum that in one of the firmware updates, they did a fix. The fix is a little bit of a kludge, but they mapped it to a double click of the channel lamp. Double click that, and now the modeling light is not affected by a local or remote trigger, and so now I can do test triggers to make sure the system's working without the modeling light turning off. Again, a little bit of an annoyance more than a deal killer by any means. None of those nitnoids are a deal killer. I think the system is great. I really love how I can dial in the light that I'm looking for right out the bat, and I can then make minor changes to shutter speed and aperture to focus on other parts of the composition without having to go back and redo all the light. I love the high-speed sync and the TTL, all built in without a lot of fuss, a lot of muss. It just worked great right off the bat. I'm really going to enjoy working these. The part that didn't come in my kit because it's back ordered, it's new, that's the extension cord that allows you to take the lamp off the body, and with a heavy-duty cord have a little handheld head, almost like a pack system where you've got the lamp on a little handheld head, lightweight, and a large cord that plugs into the lamp socket here with the S-mount. That'll really make this useful for one, on location, where you've got an assistant that can carry this around in the little backpack that comes with that extension cable kit, and hold the light modifier and head comfortably and be able to hold that up for more than a couple of seconds. The other is when putting this in the studio on a C-stand and boom, you want to be able to balance using the strobe itself as the counterweight to the flash head and modifier on the other end of the boom. I think that's going to be brilliant. I'm looking forward to that, and I'll do a review of that particular product as a separate review once I get my copy in. If you enjoyed this review, if you found it interesting or informative, click the like button down below. I'm going to be doing a lot more product reviews and some do-it-yourself camera things, so subscribe to this channel if you're interested in seeing more from me. And always, you can check out my website, www.imagesbydesign-us.com. For Images by Design, I'm Jim Setzer.